Hi guys, welcome to our podcast.
3 Ps in a podcast.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Ashley, and here we go.
Hi guys, welcome back to 3 Ps in a podcast.
Hi.
Hello.
We're sharing 2 mics today. Well, we did last time, but it's going to be more obvious this time. I thought you were saying so. So today we have chosen to do Skylar Neese. Skylar Neese was known as sassy, fun, outgoing, hardworking. She had straight A's almost always. Her parents basically state that she was their whole world, their everything. She was an only child, and they spoiled her definitely. Skylar's parents also are very vocal today about what had happened to their daughter and the trauma that they went through and that their daughter went through. They are very open about it, and they've done so many documentaries and shows and stuff about this to get this awareness out for their daughter.
Yeah, the one I was watching, the dad said, he's like, I will never forgive them. They will never earn that. That's not forgivable. Yep, you're exactly right. Yeah. I do not think I could forgive someone for, especially, just how everything goes down.
Yeah, they don't sugarcoat it by no means. All right, 16-year-old Skylar Neese went missing on July 6th of 2012. She was from West Virginia, Star City. It was a very small town with almost very small vibes. Sheila Eddy was her best friend from the age of 8. They were like sisters. And whenever you look into this case, you will see hundreds of pictures of them two together. They did everything together from age 8 until 16 years old. So for 8 years, they were inseparable. Sheila Eddy was also an only child, and she's kind of described as she acted more of an only child than Skylar really did. Sheila was she always had to have her way. If she didn't get her way, all hell was going to break loose type of ordeal, where Skylar was more easygoing, kind of with the flow.
I did see that Sheila came from more of a bad home. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly the circumstances, but I did read that she came from a bad home, where Skylar came from 2 loving parents, just a really normal, comfortable household.
Yep. So, sophomore year, Rachel Schoaf is a new student at Sheila and Skylar's school. So she... from first impressions of Rachel, she was a new transfer from a Catholic school. She seemed very proper. She was the star of their choir. She seemed like a loving girl. There was no red flags about her. They seemed very happy. Parents seemed very happy with this friendship. Everyone seemed like they got along and everything was fine. Obviously this is during a time when social media is so big. This is 2012. They're all 3 on social media. They're all 3 Twitter. Yes, they are best friends. They're texting, chatting all the time.
Yeah, and they're teenage girls, so they're telling all of their thoughts on social media. Exactly. If they have a thought, they're posting it like any teenage girl would.
Yes.
I had also seen that Rachel came from a very religiously strict
household. Yes.
Like you said, she was a Catholic
student.
Catholic school. Yep.
Yep, she was very religious with a lot of religious background.
So all 3 homes come different.
Completely,
very different, yes. So the parents didn't know, but the school, friends at school had noticed tensions were starting to arise. You know, you hear it all the time that when there's 3 best friends, especially girls, 2 kind of kick the one out.
Yeah, one of them will feel left out.
The one will usually feel left out. And that is what happened with Skylar. She was the one that was starting to feel left out. She had made posts about wow, way to leave me out, so-called friends, and things like that had started to happening. I think still, again, you know what I mean? That's typical stuff. You know what I mean? My daughter right now is currently claiming that, her and her friends are having a bit of a falling out. And, you know what I mean? That's not, you don't think anything of that.
Also, I saw Rachel and Sheila had been, smoking together.
Yep.
I don't know what you can say on YouTube, but smoking together, and Skylar was like more of a goody two shoes, not getting in trouble. And I know she had
I was
before,
about to
like
say,
they influenced her, but I
yes,
think those two were more
yes,
like
of so doing
getting
it.
into trouble together, and Skylar, maybe that's why she kind of felt more left out.
That is maybe the vibe, definitely. But yes, Skylar was known to sneak out. She liked to sneak out and hang out with friends and boys, and that kind of plays a part in this because when Skylar comes first kind of is missing, it's not too, they realize like, oh, she snuck out. It's so she did sneak out in the past. She did like to go see boys. She did like to sneak out with her friends. She had been known to smoke weed and things like that and go to parties. You know.
So which one? I can't remember. So I was trying to look at my notes. There was one of them the day after it happened. They called the parents and said that we snuck out.
It was Sheila.
It was
Yes.
Sheila. Yes.
Sheila inserts herself to this case
Yes.
so much.
I know
She
there's
does.
like,
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that is coming up. So the start of this morning, Dad comes in to wake up Skylar, and he notices right away her bed is made. He is right away alarmed by this because he knows Skylar would never make her bed after she had woken up and left. So he knew right away she didn't sleep in this bed. Wait a minute. But you know what I mean? He was very kind of confused because he knew that she was home last night. So,
and it's noon. So
yes,
like, yeah.
Where is she?
Yeah.
He calls his wife, and even she was like, call her friends, you know, she's somewhere.
She said she has a work shift at 4:00. Like, she'll show up to work and it'll all be fine.
Yes. Skylar was known to be a workaholic, that she worked always. She did not miss. She didn't even like to miss when she was sick. So work shift was coming. So the dad called her friends. No one's heard from her. No one has any ideas. Work shift is coming. And then, right as they are about to call her job to see, hey, did she arrive? Is she there? They call the parents like, hey, is Skylar coming in? Where is she? And that's when alarm bells go off.
They, like, immediately call the police.
Yes. So they panic. They call the police. The police are called. And also when they called the police, Sheila comes over almost immediately to like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on and stuff. Yeah. The police determine immediately coming in and talking to the parents and stuff that she's just a runaway. It's the weekend. They tell her she'll be back Monday. Something they feel off by this right away. Sheila then calls. I believe their names, if I'm not mistaken, I believe their names are Mary and Dave.
Who is it?
Skylar's parents.
Yeah,
I will then, since I'm not completely sure on that, then I'm just going to call them Mom and Dad. So Sheila calls Mom and tells her like, hey, I have a confession to make. We snuck out last night, but I had her returned by 11:45. And they said they just went and drove around. Okay. Sounds like teenagers.
And some backstory with Sheila, Skylar's parents had taken her, like, not taken her in per se, but like they had grew a very close relationship with her. Like, she was like another daughter to them.
Yeah.
Their daughter and her had been best friends since elementary school. So, you know, they would never in a million years guess that, I'm sure.
No.
Absolutely not. They even, you know what I mean? So I think her rushing over even, they were like, oh my gosh, she's hurting and stuff like that. And yeah, it's wild the things that Sheila does and purposely, it's sickening. It's insane.
Yeah, you hear one of the cops towards the end, like he says, like she's the mastermind behind all of it, and you can really tell she is. Like Rachel kind of just went along with it. Like obviously she played like a big part in it, but like Sheila was the mind behind it.
And she really gives me like sociopath vibes.
Yes.
She has, like, to be able to do that and not let that affect you, and even to the point where you're going and hanging out with the parents and trying to find this girl together is so sad.
Yeah. So Skylar is labeled, as I said, a runaway from beginning. They don't really look for her. You know, the parents are putting up flyers, which Sheila and Rachel help put up, of course, you know, got to keep that image. Like, you're a great, loving best friend. Anyways. And, so the parents are not giving up. They're still putting out flyers, looking for their daughter. And even kids at school are believing like she ran away. Like, that probably did happen. She'll be back. Anyways. So, but what the parents also really had a hard time with is nothing out of Skylar's room was missing. Not even her phone charger. Her phone charger was still in the wall. Like, besides Skylar and her phone, that's it. Her diary's still there. Not an inkling of clothes is missing. Toothbrush is there. Everything. So that's another indicator that these parents are like, no, absolutely. She doesn't have money to run away. Like, what? This is no. So, anyways, finally, someone notices, hey, you have a street camera out here on your building. Like, the cops go and take it and look at it, and it confirms Skylar getting into an unidentified car at 12:30 a.m. They cannot identify anything about this car. They can barely tell if they don't have a silver or white. This video is so grainy. Yeah. They have such the hardest time, like, really noticing if it's...
And at this point, they're thinking that she snuck out with her friends. They drop her back off, and then she left with somebody else.
Yes. So, but the parents are, when they first hear that Sheila drops them off, they're like, was she abducted? Like, where is she? Until they find this, and now they see her. So then it's, who is this? Like, they are very confused. They're calling all her friends, anyone they can think of, and they're not getting answers on anything. Lost my place.
I was going to say, I know all of, like, her dad reaches out to everyone in her phone list asking, do you know this car? Have you seen this car? And everyone says no, which is also kind of crazy, too.
I know both of her parents are obviously distraught over this, but her dad's reaction breaks my heart.
He is definitely the more boisterous one, and it's so hard to watch.
Yes.
So sad.
It sounds like the way he makes it sound, too, is that she was such a daddy's girl. So, like, I think she has a wonderful, beautiful mother, but I think her and her dad just were closer. That's just definitely the vibes you get.
And like, I saw something when I was researching this. I saw someone say this so perfectly. Like, not to say that when you have or when you have multiple children that it's okay to lose a child, but just the thought of having an only child is heartbreaking. Like, obviously any parent is heartbroken over losing a child, but that was their only child. That was their whole world. It's so sad.
It's so sad. And she didn't get to live her life, you know? So that's heartbreaking. But anyways, when she finally doesn't show up after a while, then the police are like, oh, you know, maybe we should really start investigating this. Again, I kind of see what they're saying, I guess.
Yeah.
And Rachel and Sheila were constantly with the parents, especially Sheila. Sheila was the one coming over on a daily basis, calling them on a daily basis. Have you found her? Have you seen her? She started even making Facebook posts on Facebook saying, I miss my best friend. I cannot believe she ran away. Like, if anybody knows anything, let me know. Constant posts like that on Twitter.
She came in.
I was gonna say,
sat on her bed.
Yeah, that was my next note. It says, Sheila comes to Skylar's house, hugging her mom in Skylar's room, crying, bawling her eyes out, saying, why would my best friend run away and not tell me? Like,
that's cold-hearted.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Mm-hmm. That literally just gave me cold chills, like, thinking about it, like, oh.
Yeah, and you can see when, like, her parents are talking about it, just how, like, heartbreaking it is for them to be like, this girl who knew where my kid was, who did this to my kid, like, I hugged her.
I sat and cried with her. Yeah.
So, mind you, these are 16-year-old girls.
Yeah.
They may post constantly what they eat, what they're doing, who they're mad at, who they're not mad at. Sheila makes a post that says, we really did go on 3. No one bats an eye at this. No, this isn't even mentioned or thought of until later, because these girls are just, no one understands what they're saying. You know what I mean? Palin says things on TikTok, and I don't understand what she's saying or doing. You know what I mean? And I think that's just was no different for these girls.
Yep.
One of the things I did not know was how many false reports are made to this family. It's wild. And this family, because they so desperately want their daughter back, they jump at any lead, anything. And so there's a couple leads that I was like, oh my gosh. So one of, I think, the most heartbreaking to these parents is on July 11th. So, you know, about a week or two later, they get a call saying there's a for sure sighting of Skylar in North Carolina with a redheaded girl. That's Rachel. Yeah. Rachel's been at church camp for a while now. And so they think, oh, Rachel skipped church camp. They went to the beach. They're hanging out. These parents are ready to fly there, whatever and stuff. And the police have to come tell them, like, it was not them. These were 2 other runaways. It's not Rachel. It's not Skylar. And these parents thought this was it.
Yeah.
This was the moment. And that always makes me so sad.
The whole is just
Yes.
so sad.
Another lead that they kind of got was apparently there was a set of brothers. They are called the Connolly brothers. And the Connolly brothers are kind of like, I guess, the troublemakers of this town is kind of how I was reading about it. And they throw these big, huge parties. So the police are really starting to think something happened. Skylar snuck out to go to a party and maybe she OD'd and these people they kind of are on. The police are kind of on to Sheila and Rachel. And so they're kind of asking them questions. They're interviewing them on a weekly basis. They were the last ones to be known to be seen with her. So they're kind of onto their trail, but they think it's something like that. Like she's OD'd at this party.
That was a huge rumor
yes,
for a while.
a huge rumor. So they really did. They even claimed that people started claiming that Skylar was a heroin addict and she's taken off to do that. That dad went to bad neighborhoods and down the streets just showing pictures of you seeing her. Like, if she's on heroin, I will save her. Like, we will figure this out. He did not care. He was trying to find his daughter, whatever it was. So this is when things really start getting heightened. There is a bank robbery and it seems like the town next to theirs. And it's a pretty big, significant bank robbery. So the Connolly brothers were kind of on their radar, and they also kind of wondered, does this have anything to do with Skylar by any chance? Was she involved? Did she know the person involved in this? Do they have her hostage? Do they, what I mean? Did she catch in the middle of this and get hurt because of this? Like, there was a lot of unknowns when this, and because of this bank robbery, the state police needed to be brought in. When the state police, they only wanted to at first determine if Skylar was involved in this bank robbery because that was their main focus was the bank robbery. So I guess they came, talked to the parents, they took Skylar's diary for evidence, things like that. And I don't really know what happens with the bank robbery, but the state police realize this is Rachel and Sheila. Things are not adding up. Things are not making sense.
The FBI are involved at this point too.
Yes. So once the state police kind of get involved, so do everyone's like, now this is serious. So the state police were finally the ones that notice, hey, Skylar was last with Sheila and Rachel. Why isn't their cars being investigated? Why are we not looking at their cars? Sure enough, finally when they start noticing, like, okay, Sheila's car matches, like, even and they start like going and searching nearby gas stations. They notice that they still cannot get a license plate on these cars, but now they have better narrowization of the make and model and what this car is.
I know they also realize that when when Sheila calls and says, like, oh, I dropped her off latest 11:45, that timeline doesn't add up.
Exactly.
She gets in the car at 12:30, and that's really, once they realize, like, this is her car, her timeline doesn't add up.
Exactly.
That's when I went down that the cops had pulled security footage from a convenience store, and that's when they realized that it was Sheila's car at 12:30, not 11ish.
No, they never for sure realize it's Sheila's car. They're never, hey, this was Sheila's car. Sheila finally, they do, but they hound her about it. They don't have a license plate number. They don't see her in the car. They have no for sure facts that it was her car. They just had their opinion and theory. And buddy, they hounded her, and she finally admits, like, yes, it was my car. We picked her up. And so when they asked Sheila, okay, where did you guys go? Don't quote me on this one for sure. I know Sheila says one thing. Yes, I know now. Sheila says that they went smoking weed in the woods, and Skylar got mad, and she walked off mad because they went to go to a party or get more weed or something ridiculous story that she came up with, and Skylar walks off mad. Now, Rachel, like, this was when it comes back to the Connolly brothers and, like, more theories about this, because Rachel's story is completely different, thank goodness, because she says that they dropped Skylar off to the party that she was really wanting to go to, indicating it was their house to try and indicate further of this OD plan. Yes. Yeah. Luckily, in that case, I don't know what would have happened there. You know what I mean? Like, those boys were kind of already on their radar. So had these girls like started saying that, I don't know. But thank goodness by this point, their stories didn't match up and they were no longer credible witnesses. They knew at this point, what have you done?
And I know the state police says, like, when he first interviews them too, that he said right away Sheila's demeanor was not right for someone that just missed their best friend. That she was bubbly, that she was happy, she was smiling, and
laughing,
shut down,
like getting angry even. And so, like I said, these girls are doing weekly interviews. They're trying to break them. They notice right away that Rachel's going to be their easier one to break. They notice right away Sheila's not caring. She does not care. And Rachel is starting to chip by chip.
Yeah, and I think that's why Rachel lawyers up. Because she knows that she'll break where Sheila's like, I'm good. I know I'm fine.
Yeah, both girls take a polygraph. Yeah. Of course, they both fail it. And Sheila's just laughing about it. Like, there's something wrong with your polygraph. I'm not lying, just like acting that way about it. They know, like, this isn't right. So,
I was gonna say that when they really started investigating the girls is when, I'm sure you're coming to this actually, those are when they started pulling phone records and could see the pings. Okay, that's what
exactly. That was my next sentence. They have warrants for everything, and everything, the girls' phones, their computers, I mean, anything and everything. And sure enough, there it is. Sheila's phone had pinged at 3 a.m. in Blacksville, West Virginia. So this was them coming back, and because the phones had been off, I believe, right? And then it pinged.
I'm not sure.
Something like that. But
I do know that the original direction that they said that they were hanging out was the complete opposite. So when they got those phone pings in
because she kept saying, like, we turn left to go to like a different town, and they even saw the like recording of the car going this way. So they're like, we knew right away that this was wrong.
Yep.
And then I know, along with the evidence that they also take Rachel's diary.
Yep, that's my next one too. Rachel's diary has an entry in it the day after Skylar's disappearance, basically stating just some really heavy like spiritual stuff, like, please God, forgive me for all of my sins, and just some really heavy stuff like that she had done something really awful and needed some heavy forgiveness, some heavy penitence for. But, again, they still were just not expecting all of this.
And at this point that we're getting to, this is close to Christmas time. So this has been 6 months of hounding these girls, investigating, following leads.
So luckily, thank goodness, Rachel has the tiniest, smallest little soul, because she starts to break. She starts having panic attacks, mean to her family when she had never been like that before. Her family did not know what to do. They were calling the police, telling them that like she's like getting angry, she's freaking out. So finally they have to take her to the hospital. She's having an actual psychotic break.
And there is a 911 call recorded of them calling 911, and you can hear Rachel screaming in the background and just having a whole breakdown before she goes to the mental hospital.
I have an issue with a 16-year-old daughter of mine. I can't control her anymore. She's screaming. She's running through the neighborhood. Give me the phone. No, this is over. This is over. Hurry up. Oh, God. Hurry up, please.
So when she gets out of this mental hospital, she goes to the police and she tells all. And the police, like I said, like we've said over and over, the police are pretty adamant that they thought Skylar had OD'd and her body was buried somewhere. So what Rachel then tells them, they're not expecting it at all. Rachel tells them, we killed her, that they went and drove out, that her and Sheila had planned this. They put the knives in the trunk, shovels in the trunk, that they have been talking about this for a while, planning this. And so they told Skylar, come on, let's sneak out. Let's go smoke some weed. So they go and drive out into these woods and get out there. They tell Skylar, like, hey, we forgot the lighter in the car. They count to 3. Remember, Sheila's post, we really did go on 3. It was like a couple days, a day after, something like that, after Skylar's passing. And anyways, the girls count to 3 and they start stabbing Skylar. Rachel claims that she they kept stabbing and she heard Skylar start gurgling and just not okay, and she backs off. She said that Rachel claims that though Sheila did not, that she has no idea how many times Sheila stabbed Skylar, but she said that she lost count after 50.
And she also says she stopped stabbing when they stopped making noises.
Yep.
When
So as soon as she
hearing the
stopped
gurgling.
making noises.
Yep, when that gurgling stopped.
Also, Rachel claims that she had a cut on her knee, like Skylar
Yes, had
gotten a hold
fought
of the
back.
knife at some point and fought back.
And the one that just kills me the most is Skylar asked why.
Her last words.
Her last words are why.
Yeah.
And that's still, and what's so sad to me about that too, like I just got cold chills again, is we still don't know why.
No.
Their reasoning is we didn't want to be friends with her anymore. That is what they still claim to this day. Which is,
it's like a lot of people don't want to be friends with people anymore. You don't kill.
You don't, take their life.
Yeah.
That's absolutely, and so I mean, that's just still to this day, like the big question, why? You know, I mean, crimes are usually crimes of passion. You know what I mean? And this just was, we don't want to be friends with her anymore. That's just crazy.
I do think there's two things worth adding at this point. So Rachel, when she got out of this mental hospital, she didn't just go directly to the police. She got a lawyer and agreed to meet with the police. I'm assuming for a plea deal before she spills all of this.
Yes.
Yeah. The second thing that I wanted to mention was there are rumors that Rachel and Sheila had an intimate relationship,
Yes.
and that Skylar knew about it. Because I think she had even maybe hinted on her Twitter, like, I know things that could ruin you guys.
Yes.
And, you know, so maybe that played an aspect into why they were so terrified of this.
I don't know. I wonder too. I've heard that theory too, but I have seen the parents speak out about that and say that it was absolutely not true. But, I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's hard to tell. I mean, I think anyone is reaching for any reasons behind this, because who does that?
Yeah. I think too, like, especially the parents may not come out and say that because, I mean, their kids already did such a horrible thing. They don't want to add, like, more hate onto their kids.
Yeah.
And people, like, so that could be a part of it too.
Absolutely. So in Rachel's confession, she also confesses where the body is. They had, like I had mentioned, they had brought shovels because they were going to dig holes but I guess the ground was too hard. They absolutely just could not. So they just hid her kind of 40 feet from where they were, like really far from the road, and just covered her with anything they could find, sticks, rocks, everything. And again, so this was 6 months later when the police was able to get her remains and give her a proper burial and bring her home to her parents and all that kind of stuff. And since Rachel confessed and told all and brought them to the body, she was able to strike a plea deal. So Rachel is convicted and sentenced to 30 years with the possibility of parole after 10 years. This is now 12 years, almost this July, but 12 years later that this has happened. So her conviction will be even less. Anyways, so she just hit that, and she did apply for parole, and it was denied. I know that the family is happy about that, and because I know that they wanted much harsher sentences on these girls. They were very upset by their punishments. There was leniency on both these girls.
Yeah, you can see the dad's face, like, in the court. He is just furious. And then I also know Rachel does apologize. She gets up and she has this, like, note, whatever. The parents still don't feel like,
No.
which there's nothing. There's nothing. But she does apologize at least.
I mean, we've seen younger Aiden Fucci get sentenced to life, which is the same thing. Took a kid in the woods and murdered them.
Yeah.
And get life in prison, treated as an adult. And these girls are 16. They're old enough.
Like Adam Fucci, like his was an opportunity.
Yeah.
Where these girls, it was premeditated. They had the knives, they had the shovels, they had talked about this.
I think it said for months they had been talking about this.
Yep. Lured her into the car, knew when they were going to go.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah,
so,
you even have schoolmates say that, like, they kind of started drifting, and you would see, like, Sheila and Rachel talking and whispering and, like...
Yep. Yeah, which makes Sheila's even crazier, because Sheila pleads guilty to first-degree murder, She is sentenced to life, but the judge decided to give her what's called a mercy plea, and she's eligible for parole after 15 years. And that's coming up.
Yeah.
That she
Yeah.
could see the light of day
Yeah.
after 15 years taking
That's-
Skylar's life.
Which I do know
crazy.
they do that mercy plea a lot when people are under 18 when they get charged. But you didn't have to do the 15 years. You could have done,
Yeah,
multiple
yes.
years.
I mean, 30 years. 40
Yeah.
years. She could still have a life after that.
Yeah.
I mean,
but-
does she
Yeah, well,
deserve
She
one?
deserves one.
I was
Yeah, I
about
was
to
gonna
say,
say-
Skylar doesn't get a life.
Yeah.
Why do they deserve to be able to get married and have babies
Yeah.
and things like that?
Yeah, you're talking 15 years. She was 16 when she did it. So you're saying she gets out at 31?
They're my age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was 19 when this happened.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
they're
almost exactly
they're
my
almost
age.
exactly your
Yeah.
age. They're literally, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You could definitely get married and have babies today. Like,
and it's crazy that, like, at the same time, I'm in my sophomore year of high school, they're out there planning to murder their best friend.
could you imagine?
It's insane to me.
Yeah, think about, like, you know what I mean, the normal teenage drama that we went through our friends.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's a normal person that never even comes close to crossing that.
never. I've never thought of such thing.
No.
Oh, I get cold chills every time I think about this case because of the premeditation it took, and they were 16-year-old girls, and not that anyone deserves that, but Skylar didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Anyways, to wrap it up, Sheila had, as we were first talking about, you know, Rachel did apologize. She showed lots of heavy emotion, you know what I mean? A lot of people can assume that that's, you know, knowing she's going to prison for many years and things like that, but
her head's down.
yeah,
the whole
she
trial. Like,
seems
you can just
genuine.
see yeah.
It seems like none
She
of
realized she fucked up.
yes, yeah,
Seems like it might not have ever happened if Sheila hadn't been the one.
exactly.
Yes.
I don't think this was something Rachel could have ever came up with on her mind.
No.
Of course she should have said no and you know
Yes.
told somebody.
Not normal in the head if
Right.
she even goes along with something like
Right.
that.
But I think Rachel could one day maybe get out and be safe to society.
Yes.
I don't think Sheila could.
No.
I think Sheila would absolutely do this again. I think her only reasoning, if she ever gets out and doesn't do it again, is from not wanting to go back to prison. Is not.
Yeah.
But I think she is 100% capable. She knows that eyes would be on her if she was to ever do it again. So, yeah, Sheila, was Rachel like showing all this emotion? Sheila was cold. Police and detectives and the parents have said that the two trials were very different.
Yeah.
Very different vibes, very different feelings. Sheila did not give a fuck.
Yeah, her face is just blank, looking around.
Yep.
No emotion.
They and I said trial because they were planning on going to trial for Sheila. Sheila was going to trial, and that last minute she took a plea deal and pled guilty. Yes, exactly. Even state police, they call her pure evil, no soul, a psychopath. They couldn't believe the things that she was doing and saying. Kind of almost gives you like Jodi Arias vibes of just laughing and
Like,
I don't know, just
deal.
no big deal.
Yeah.
That you took someone's life. You know, even in self-defense, you take a life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a life.
That's a life.
A 16-year-old girl who had just started living, really.
Yep. So I'm ending this on Skylar's parents did fight for a Skylar's Law in the state of West Virginia. And this one always, like, it makes me feel so happy because her parents know, even if the police would have immediately been on this case, they know that the moment they woke up and found their daughter missing, she was already dead.
Yes.
So they know nothing would have ever changed that. But they still fought for Skylar's Law, for there to be an Amber Alert issued for any missing child, no matter the circumstance.
Yeah.
So they were still they wanted something beautiful in their daughter's name to save children, even though this law would not have saved their daughter.
No.
They still wanted this. And I think that is really special. You don't hear about that too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was, it speaks volume about who her parents are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You could tell that they never really said it, but you could tell they were very let down by the way it was handled.
Yes.
Like,
and they won't say that.
Yeah, they won't say it, but like I know her mom even says in an interview, she was like, she didn't come back that weekend. I knew she was gone. I knew I'd never see her again. And because that her daughter wouldn't run away. She knew that.
Yep.
And so if she, for some crazy reason, did, she sure as hell was going to be back Monday.
Yeah.
And when she wasn't. Yeah, the dad will talk about, I saw another thing, like the mom said something like, what if she doesn't come back? And the dad right away was like, don't you ever say that ever again. Because those were thoughts she was having and he was not.
Yeah.
That was not happening. She was coming home.
Yeah. This was just a mix-up to him, like something's
not right, but she's coming home.
Yeah. It is overall just a very sad case.
It is.
Not needed, you know what I mean? Skylar should be here today.
Yeah.
She should, you know what I mean, be full of life. And, you know, it sounds like she was smart and good at school. She probably would have finished college and had a big career and, you know what I mean, given her parents grandkids one day.
And that is even so much worse to think of, like, that was their only kid.
Mm-hmm.
That was their whole world and they lost it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could not even imagine.
Absolutely not.
No.
I don't even like to.
Yeah.
We're all moms here.
Yeah.
You can't even begin to fathom.
Yeah.
Any final words?
I don't think so. It's just always been a case that's always just, I don't know. I think about often.
Yeah, I was gonna say you two kind of knew a little bit about this case going. I never. So this happened when I was 12.
Yeah.
So like had no clue this was going on. Didn't realize like. I was just more into like serial killers at that time. I was not listening to like true crime.
Yeah, I didn't really research true crime in high school or anything very much either. It was like once I became an adult, I like dove in. So I've watched so many cases on, you know, but yeah.
Yeah. My mom was the true crime junkie. And so true crime was just on in our house. You know, we always have this joke that like, oh, mom's watching the Murder Death Kill.
Yeah.
I don't know. We just always, so it was on in our house 24/7. I knew of a lot of the cases even before I became a teenager and adult. But so it just carried on. It's just something I really got interested in with. And so it's kind of nice. Like I will still talk to my mom. Like most cases I will bring to her attention. She still knows because she's been doing this longer than I have been, but you know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think that wraps it up. And
our second true crime
true crime case. This will be out on Wednesday and we're going to true crimes every Wednesday.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.